grind, to the hustle, the pursuit of wealth. Every story, every journey, every climb from the shelf. Here's to the drive, to the fight, to pursuit of wealth.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Pursuit of Wealth podcast with our co-host, Mr. Jace Wright.
What's up?
A little head nod.
Yes, sir.
March Madness is over, so you have nothing to do now.
Yeah, I'm kind of lost, confused. I golfed. That's a bit.
The Masters is this weekend, so you'll find
for that.
Yeah, you'll be all right. But
then NBA playoffs. There's always something.
There's always something for Jace to do and distract him from what he should really do. Speaking of that, we're going to go over some kind of thoughts.
Okay.
Quotes that provoke some thoughts. This is actually from a mentor that I have, and he posted this on Facebook not too long ago. It's kind of like just 20 different things that are kind of thought provoking. I think it was 20 principles for life. And one of them is the cost of the future you want may feel like sacrifice today. What price do you want to pay? And I think we've kind of talked about that a few different times on this podcast. But we can all talk about the future that we want. We want to retire when we're in our 40s. We want to have, $1 million, XYZ. All that stuff is possible for a price. And the price starts, you have to start paying that price today. Mm-hmm. And I think we forget, it looks like a sacrifice today, but it is for our future. And I think about what you've done. You've finally decided that you wanted to start paying that price, start sacrificing a little bit now to save money each month, maybe to not have some of your wants each month for the future. What do you think?
I would think the line there, or I guess the sacrifice I've been willing to make has changed over the course of my journey.
Yeah.
And I'll say that by so I always bring this up, and I want to make it clear I'm not bagging on this business model or this system or the people I know that are still doing this, because I actually respect the crap out of them.
Yeah.
And think I still believe it's a business that can work, but it's just not something I was willing to do. But when we were exploring the MLM world,
yeah,
that sacrifice expectation was something I was not willing to do, which is ultimately why I stepped away. So what I mean by that is you were expected and taught and you were told that you were basically a failure, that if you weren't willing to do it, but you were supposed to go out every single day after work for hours to try to go talk to people. If you were hosting a meeting or something at your house for prospects to discuss the business too, you were supposed to get babysitters. Your wife was supposed to be there with you. And you weren't doing it right if that was not the case. You were supposed to sacrifice to pay for the products that were a part of the business because you're investing in yourself, even though the bag of chips was $6 more than your normal bag of chips. You were expected to do that. So that came with a financial sacrifice.
It's an investment in your future.
Yeah, an investment in your future. Then the quarterly get-togethers where they're in Vegas or Portland, you were expected to go to that. When someone in your upline was visiting, you were expected to go to that. And then you were taught, don't watch TV, don't play video games, it even went as far as if you had a function that was on the same date as Thanksgiving, which would you choose? And they would manipulate you to think that you should choose your business and your future before you go to the Thanksgiving. Now that never really happened.
Yeah.
But they were teaching that as a concept to sacrifice everything you've got for the next 5 years so that you can live like nobody else does.
Yeah.
The thing I quickly realized is that, number one, it was going to take a lot longer than 5 years, and I wasn't willing to pay that sacrifice for that extended period of time.
Yeah.
Fast forward to now, I am willing to pay that sacrifice, but one of the reasons is because I think it's a lot easier than I thought it would be. It's still difficult, but when you are sitting back trying to think of the life you want to create for your family, it can become daunting. And it can, you sit back and you're like, holy crap, I want to make $2 million a year. I want to, make 10 grand a month. 10 grand a month is what we hear.
It's the magic word.
You might ask anybody how much passive income they want to make. It's 10 grand a month.
Yeah. They'll be gone in a flash.
Yeah. We talk about that. When you sit back and actually look at your habits and the way that you're living, that is achievable and it's easy in the sense of it doesn't require a ton of sacrifice. I am making sacrifices, but it's in habits, not necessarily in lifestyle. Maybe a little bit in lifestyle, probably a little more intentional with business and trying to do a little bit more, but I'm not skipping out on Thanksgiving. I'm not watching sports. I'm not, I still talk to friends and play video games on occasion. Like we go to St. George for a week. Like all that stuff is things that in the past were, you got to sacrifice those. Don't go on that because it's money and you got to save that money and your time away from your business. You got to focus on your business, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Point I'm getting at is it's habits that have changed. That's the sacrifice. And it's becoming easier as you continue to do that. But in the grand scheme of things, it's small incremental changes that make a huge difference over the course of your journey.
Yeah. There's a few things I want to hit on that because I think you're absolutely right. Because I am it's alignment. Mm-hmm. Because yes, I agree with if you have big aspirational goals to own a private jet or do these high, super high things, it is going to require a lot of sacrifice. You might have to skip out on some holidays. You might have, the only way to get to that level is to put in the time and effort. Like, unless you win the lottery, it's like, if you don't win the lottery, if you look anybody, and I think that's kind of the key. That's something that I've done recently is look at where you want to go and find somebody that's been there or is there, and what does their life look like? Mm-hmm. And what did everybody had to sacrifice to get to some kind of level? Whether it's you're talking about, I sacrifice some habits. I changed some habits. Maybe I sacrificed a little bit of time doing where I could have been golfing or doing things I wanted to enjoy, but I sacrificed that to get to this level. It's like somebody could look at you and be like, oh, well, Jace has sacrificed to get to where he's at. Everybody that's at a certain level has made some kind of sacrifices or trade-offs to get there. Usually the people at the top have made the biggest trade-offs. Mm-hmm. You look at Elon Musk, like everybody can be like, I want to make that kind of money. It's like, dude, he sleeps 3 hours a day. Basically
lives at his warehouse or whatever it is.
Like he wrote off his whole life to achieve what he wanted to achieve. Doesn't have any solid relationships. It doesn't look like from the outside perspective. Right. Kids don't want anything to do with him. He's had multiple wives. Like that is what he chose. So you look at, like we say, there's people that are really happy coaching their son's baseball team and, being home on the weekends. And that's, as long as there's alignment there, I think that's what matters most. And so if you've looked at your future and you're like, here's where we want to get to. And in order to get there, we don't have to sacrifice a ton. Like, as long as we have a plan and we're doing these things, we're going to get there inevitably, and we can enjoy the process while we do it. I think where people get confused is the misalignment. They want more than they're willing to trade for,
or they want more quicker than what it took the person that they see. Like, they see this glorified person on Instagram, or they know him or whatever. I want to be like that. So I'm going to listen to his podcast, or I'm going to pay for his program. Yeah. And then in a year, I expect to be there. And then when they're not, they give up. When in reality, it took that person 10 years to get where they are. Yeah. And so when I say it's easy, like I still have aspirations. I want to be a multimillionaire.
On that, before I forget this what you just said, I agree to an extent there, because I do think the person that it took 10 years was willing to do a certain amount of trade-offs. Right. And that's why it took 10 years. If you're willing to 10x their trade-offs, you might be able to do it in a year.
For sure.
So like, you could do it. Again, it's like, how much are you willing to pay? Because like, you could figure out everything they did, maybe increase your knowledge faster. You're going to sleep less. You're not going to go do fun activities, and maybe you can get there in a year. But again, it's like, are you willing to make that trade-off and be real with yourself? Don't want it quicker if you're not willing to completely sacrifice everything.
Right.
So, but continue.
No, the point I was going to make is because like I still have aspirations. Like, I want to be a multimillionaire. Like, I don't know who wouldn't. And I'm making goals and things to achieve that. when I say it's easy, it's easy in the sense, and you pointed this out, but I want to make sure it's clear to the listener, is I'm okay if it takes me 5 years to get there.
Yeah.
At the rate I'm going. I could become, I believe this, I could become a millionaire in 2 years if I wanted to.
Yeah.
If I just didn't have a life. I just came to the office for 10 hours a day, ate, slept, drank, real estate, and didn't do anything else, and prospected, open houses, like all of those different things. I could probably be a millionaire in a couple years.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to trade that for, like you mentioned, baseball games, basketball games, soccer, dances, my own personal selfish things like golf. Like, I'm just not willing to. I'm okay that it's going to take me 5+ years.
Yeah.
As long as I make the small habits to get me there. And that's the difference from what happened in the past, is I wasn't doing the small habits to get me there eventually. It was just, that's what I did. Right.
Yeah.
And now it's different.
Yeah. No, and I like that you point that out, because it's like, you don't have to, as long as you're okay with the timeline and you have a game plan to get there in the years that it's going to take, it's like, cool. You can just move forward and you're aligned with that, that timeline. What I see is when people, and on the flip side of that, sometimes when I see people go all in, they're all like, hey, I'm going to sacrifice everything and try to achieve it in 2 years. But then they get burned out. And a lot of this is like, to get the big wealth, it is compounding over time. So I'd rather, instead of you trying to go out and make $1 million a year for the next 2 years, I'd rather you just be like, because then, and you get burned out. Well, then it's like the most income you made was only $2 million. And then you got burned out and you left and decided to do something else. Or could you get to like 400, 500,000 a year and do that for the next 15 years because you like the life that you're living? Well, it's like, okay, well, now you're going to make $7.5 million over that time period. Right. And you're going to have more to invest with. And so you see this in, like, I'm going to use Chandler because he's just a good reference. Guys getting in the door-to-door industry to make good money. They work astronomically hard, but they burn out after 2 to 3 years. And it's like, yeah, they made good money, but for such a short period of time that it gives them a little bit of a head start, but you're not building long-term wealth. Versus the guys that are building long-term wealth in there, it's like Chandler was doing it for 12 years. He was in the door-to-door industry for like 10 or 12 years. Same with my buddy Garrett. It's compounding over time. How long can you make a good income over an extended period of time without having to decline or like pivot because you get burned out? That's where you're going to get the bigger returns. And so find something that's sustainable, that you're like, hey, do the math. If I could be making 300, and I'm using big numbers, people are probably going to be like, this isn't realistic. But let's say
we're dreamers here.
Let's say even if you're making 100, it's like, hey, if I can get to 150 or 200 a year, I can and live this quality of life. Like I can take my every other Friday off. I can, make it to my kids' sports games and stuff. Like I'm good with that. And I'm willing, and sacrifice a little bit on like, hey, we're going to really try to put 20 to 30% aside so that we can still hit our goals financially and get to where we want to be. Like do that. But also don't want to do all that, like have all this freedom and want like, I want a freaking 10,000 square foot house and $10,000 a month in cash flow. Because like, there's not alignment there with what you're willing to give up and what you're wanting. It's like want less or trade more. Like you go back to that quote. And so I'm like, I'm just a big proponent of, I agree with all these things where it's like sacrifice. And I think about this stuff and I'm like, man, I could go to all of our agents on the team and be like, you need to be sitting 3 open houses a week. You guys need to be working here till 5. You need to be doing all this stuff. Cause I believe like, if you want to be successful, if you do that stuff, you will be successful. It's an numbers game. It works. Like if you sit 3 open houses a week for an entire year, you will make more money than you thought. Absolutely. But I don't do that. Even though I believe like that would help them all make more money, I don't do it because maybe that's not what they want. And who am I to tell you what you should or shouldn't want?
Right.
If you come to me and you're like, dude, I'm in a bad financial spot and I'm not making the money that I want to make. I'm like, okay, well, what are you doing? Let's look at your calendar. Yeah. Well, obviously you're not making the money you want to make because you're not doing the things that you should be to be making money.
Right.
But it's like, if you're if you're good, that's why I don't bug Jace, because Jace doesn't come to complain to me. If he came and complained to me about the money that he's making, then I would bug you and be like, well, stop freaking golfing. Yeah. Just kidding. I'm not going to be mean. But he doesn't. If as long as he's not complaining and he's making the money that he wants and he feels like he's growing, awesome. I'm happy for him. Like, as long as you're aligned and you're happy, good. That's what I want. But if you come to me and you're struggling, then I am going to tell you what you should do. And it isn't going to be easy. And it is going to probably require some sacrifice. So I'm just a big proponent of that. And with this quote saying like the cost of your future may look like sacrifice today, we've talked about these little things. It's the little things like, getting rid of the truck, getting rid of the car payment. Yeah, it might look like a sacrifice, but it is for your future. Take a little bit of a step back, downsize the house if you need to, stop eating out as much as you need to. Like, when you tell me you want all these things in the future and you're not willing to just not eat out as much each month, or you're not willing to sell the truck or the expensive car to go get something that's more affordable to save your month, like save monthly there and start investing in your future. If you can't even make those little changes, it's like, dude, you don't want it. Like, how bad do you actually want this? You can say you want it, but your actions are showing me that you don't actually want a better future. You're comfortable with where you're at. And unless you're willing to change, like, you're just going to stay there. And so, I think that's where I was kind of mostly getting to, is like, you did make those changes and you were starting to make those little sacrifices that aren't really sacrifices.
No, they're just,
it's just like
changes. That's it.
Just little changes that are like, yeah, I don't drive a Raptor anymore. Like, yeah, we maybe don't eat out as much anymore. Yeah, I don't buy new golf clubs every year. Like, these little changes that do add up that are going to help you for your future.
Right.
And so that's kind of where I really wanted that quote to be, is these little, you can make little changes to better your future. And if you're not willing to make these little changes, you don't deserve a better future. That sounds really harsh, but like,
it's the reality. You've said it before, like you're not an exception to anything. You're not going to just have $1 million fall in your lap. Everybody who's become a millionaire outside of maybe trust kids, right?
Yeah.
Got there because they had to pay a similar sacrifice. No one was handed it. And so to think that you're an exception to that, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Either you need to cut back on those things. And if you don't want to cut back, great. Don't cut back. Go make more money then.
Yep.
Because that's my alternative. Like, yeah, we don't cut back on a lot of things. On the flip side is like, I just go and do more. I go try to make more money. And so, but if you're not wanting to go make more money, like you have to do one of them.
Yep.
You either need to cut back or you need to go make more money and start saving more money.
Right.
And so it's like, you only have 2 levers to pull. Decide which one you want to pull. Each one is going to require sacrifice. If you're cutting back, you're sacrificing your lifestyle. And if you're working more, you're sacrificing your time. So you choose, but like, you've got to make one of those decisions.
Yep.
Because if you don't, like, nothing changes.
And that's what I respect about the MLM. They taught those things.
Yeah.
And it was expected. You had to make the sacrifice in order to be successful. There was no other way you were going to be successful in it. And so that's where I respected it, is that they didn't hide from what was required to become successful in that model of business. Yeah. Because I think that same thing applies to any business. If you want to become the top tier in any industry that you want,
100%.
You have to sacrifice the most.
Yeah, 100%. You're never going to reach those high levels of achievement without it.
Correct.
So, next thought, your partner determines your altitude, and your altitude determines your partner.
Okay.
Initial thoughts.
Elaborate on that one for me.
The way I perceive it, like, and I do believe it, is your partner is really going to determine how high you can go, your altitude, but also like how high you're wanting to go in your vision and in the life that you're wanting is also going to attract a type of partner too. I think that the person you choose as your spouse is going to be the biggest indicator on where you end up in life.
Yeah, I love this quote because the first place I go to is, I'm going to get a little mushy here and credit my wife, right?
Yeah.
I chose a damn good one. I got lucky and definitely married up. But one thing in particular that has always been a driving factor for me that has helped me not have any option but to succeed is in some level. Like success obviously is going to be different for everybody, but when we were dating, we weren't even married yet. Talking about, how many kids do you want to have and, all that mushy stuff while you're dating. And it got brought up like careers and all that. And she asked me, she's like, what do you want to do? Like, what career do you want to have? And at the time I was like, I have no idea. I have no idea what I want to do. I don't know what I want to go to school for. I just want to have a career where I don't ever have to tell my kids no when it comes to time spent or, things that they want, like because of money.
Yeah.
And then when I asked her, I'm like, what do you want to do? She's like, well, I want to be a stay-at-home mom, so you better figure it out. And I'm like, okay. And she has stuck to that. And it has pushed me to levels I don't think I would have had if I didn't have someone like that.
Yeah.
And so credit to my wife. That's where my thought went with that quote is I'm just like, my altitude changed because of her. Like my ceiling was probably lower than what it would have been, but because of her, my ceiling was higher for sure. And she still pushes me to that.
Yeah. And I think, because it's like when you have a spouse, one thing, it's like, do they believe in you?
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to let you, you took a leap into real estate, fully commission. It's like some spouses wouldn't let the other spouse do that.
Right.
So they would be like, well, what do you mean? You don't have a salary? Like, we can't do that. We've got kids. We need a roof overhead.
I had 2 kids, had to sell our house.
Yeah.
Had to sell our cars, move into her parents' basement on a dream to go sell real estate.
Yeah. That requires a lot of belief.
She's incredible.
It's got to be a lot of belief in you. I look at, my wife as well. It's like, I didn't have a plan. I got my real estate license. We didn't really, same thing. We had to move in with family and she decided to quit her job in that same time period. Like, and we just both believed in each other. Like, we're going to figure it out. But there's some people that they wouldn't let each other do those things, unfortunately.
Right.
And so that's where I say it does truly matter. Is your spouse going to give you this space and freedom and belief in you to go do what you want to do in life? Or are you going to be, you feel like you're anchored and can't go do those things because they don't feel like you can do it, or that it's a good move for the family, or just those kind of situations. I truly believe, we work weird hours as real estate agents, and I see it all the time where a spouse can be a big factor in how successful somebody can be. It's like
You've seen agents quit because their spouse wasn't willing to make that sacrifice with them.
100%.
Yeah.
And you think about that, like maybe that's not what they're meant to do, but I look at it sometimes as like, yeah, Brie could have told me a lot of things. Like, we've started a lot of businesses. We do a lot of different things. She could have told me no on a lot of these things. And where would I be in life, and how would I be happy not doing all these things? It's hard to say.
Right.
And it's sad to see the people that have to reel it in and go just, my wife didn't like that I was on a full commission job. So I went and got a W-2 hourly job, and, I get my 2 weeks of paid leave, and dude, that sounds there's nothing wrong with that. But to me, that sounds really depressing. Mm-hmm. And luckily I have a wife that also sounds really depressing too. So she's like, no, we don't want that. We're going to go figure it out. And because, we want freedom, and we want to travel, and we want to do all these things. And for my wife, she's a really big asset in a lot of our businesses. Mm-hmm. We really have a good yin and yang. We were talking the other night. We always have our late night talk. She's into the coding with Claude and stuff, and she's building out some crazy stuff for the team right now. And so she works on that every night. But we were talking about it, and I was like, sometimes I am definitely the visionary. I just have a lot of, we should do this, we should do that. And I can get things going, but she's a true integrator of everything that we do. She actually creates a system in the process and makes it all function. And I'm like, yeah, we should do this now, and let's fix this. But she was like, yeah, she's like, luckily I have you, because I don't want to think about all these things. And honestly, even thinking that they're possible, you think that this stuff's possible, and you push me to do it. And then I really like figuring out, okay, if he's got this thought, I see it. Let me see if I can create this, or help build this, or create a system for this. And so we have really good yin and yang. I wouldn't be where I'm at without her. There's no way. I would be I would create all these thoughts in businesses that I'm like, oh, we could do this and we could do that. But I wouldn't put them all together.
Right.
And I see that. I see visionaries, business owners that have all these ideas and stuff, but they have zero implementation skills. And I'm kind of one of those. Like, I can implement to start it, but I'm not going to make it efficient. Mm-hmm. And the only way you can make a lot of these businesses work is if you can make them efficient. And so, like, I definitely wouldn't be where I'm at without her. And she's likewise. She's like, I would never do all these things without you starting them and having the vision of where we could go with them. And so I think that, like, perfect on the spot, your partner determines your altitude and your altitude determines your partner.
It's a good one. I like that one a lot.
This one, we've mentioned this before. Life has costs. You just choose when to pay them.
Yep. We have talked about that one a lot.
And so it kind of falls back. At some point, the bill is due and you got to decide when you're going to pay it. I would suggest paying it early. Start now. Start paying that now, so the bill's not due when you're older.
Right.
And you want that time. This one's good. No one succeeds alone. The quality of your relationships will equal the quality of your life.
Yeah, I'm a good example of this one. I've said it, I think I said it on the last week's podcast, like, prior to my association with you guys in Top Notch, I had never traveled. I'd never been to the ocean. I had not even, like, even my first year in real estate, like, it was the first year, so you got to cut some slack with anybody in their first year, but I never knew what was possible in real estate. After my first year, I was just like, okay, this is what it's going to be like. But then I remember having my first meeting with you and I was like, okay, this could be so much more.
Yeah.
And here's what's possible with a lot, especially all of the systems that Bree is,
built out.
Yeah. So, that one's pretty incredible, because I'm a living, breathing example of someone who's been completely changed in a very short amount of time just by switching his association.
Yeah. And I think, like, it's like you said, not just business related, mm-hmm. but like life, like the quality of relationships determine the quality of your life. And it goes back to why I'm so excited about the group that we're starting, right? Is to have more high quality relationships with people that you can go do life together. I think, like, our society is the loneliest society we've probably ever had. There's really not a sense of community. If you think about back in the day, it's like when our parents or, great grandparents were growing up, it's like your neighborhood, like, that was your tribe. Like, your neighbors, you count on them. Like, if you needed a date night or watch the kids, like, your neighbors were coming over to help and you guys were getting together for dinners and doing stuff. Dude, I don't even know. This is bad. I don't know, like, any of my neighbors.
Right.
And a lot of people don't. And we're connected more than we ever have been through social media. I technically, on my phone, I have more friends than I've ever had.
You're probably
thousands.
You're probably friends with your neighbor on Facebook. You just don't know.
100%. But yet, like, if you think about it, how much do you actually do with your friends?
Right.
Or relationships? Like, when's the last time you went on a date night with another couple? When's the last time you and somebody, like, I think about our St. George trip. That was so fun. Like, a group of, 3 families. We went and had an Airbnb. We all have kids. The kids, what I love most is, like, the memories the kids are going to create. Mm-hmm. Kids got to all hang out, have fun, go, swim, go scooter, like, try to have a sleepover in a bunk room. But, like, that's cool. A lot of people don't do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like they're just going to go on their family on a trip. And I just feel like life is so much better when you have high quality relationships that you can do life with people. And maybe I'm just a social person. Me and Bree love traveling with other people, because it's like, we love our family, but it's just fun when you have other families and, like, kids to play with. And I don't know. So I'm a big believer in that. Like, you need to strengthen relationships and get, focus on high quality relationships. I look at talk about this, like, level 5 relationships, deep ones, the ones that you can talk to. You have a buddy that you can call when you are in financial trouble and be like, dude, I just, this XYZ, like, what would you do? Or someone that you can call when you're running a business. Like, hey, dude, I need to hire my first employee. Like, you have some employees. How did you do it? What did you do? XYZ. There's so much value in that. Or just, hey, I'm thinking about getting into this industry, and I know you're involved in that. Like, what have you done, or what should I know? It's just so powerful to have people that you can count on to do life with. This one was good. Big life, big problems. If you want a huge life, you will face huge problems.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
I think, again, it's like aligning your expectations with the future that you want. You can say everything has problems. You just don't know about them. And so when you make $1 million a year, you're going to have problems that arise with that. And the amount of fires and things that you're going to have to put out to make that $1 million is something people don't think about. Because like ultimately making money is all just a trade of value, right? Mm-hmm. So how much value are you having to trade in order to earn that kind of income? Well, there's probably a lot of value that you're having to trade. There's a lot, either transactions that you're having to do or things that you're having to provide to people. There's going to be more problems with that because you're providing more to more people.
And to your point, it's problems that some people wouldn't know unless they did hit $1 million. Like the tax repercussions a millionaire has to deal with. I have no idea what that looks like.
Yeah.
But eventually, if I become a millionaire, I'm going to have that problem.
Yeah. It becomes, okay, tax liability. Have you saved enough for your tax liability? Because now it's not, you're not 20%. You're going to be like close to 40%. Mm-hmm. Did you save 40% of your income? If not, how can you deduct? How can you get some deductions to offset your taxable income? Like insurance costs. Hey, now like your insurance costs going to go way up. You're not getting no tax credits. You're not doing any of that stuff. And so there just is different problems. And it sounds, to the average person, it can sound so, like you're being so pathetic with those problems. Like, I wish I had those problems. Like they're all problems. And like the bigger the life, the bigger your problems usually are. And the more money you make, usually you're going to take higher risks. So like
when you take that problem at face value, like let's just throw a random number out there.
Yeah.
The average person, if Uncle Sam called, said, hey, you owe me $25,000. That's a big problem. I don't care how much money you make.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
The thing is, you're just never going to have to deal with that unless you're a millionaire.
Correct.
So yeah, it's easy for those who aren't experiencing it to look at that and be like, oh, boo-hoo, like it's $25,000. You're fine. You're a millionaire. Well, $25,000 is $25,000.
And it's more like 200,000.
Right.
Yeah.
But you get my point. Like
yes.
It's a big problem when you look at it at face value for what it is.
100%. And it's not even just like those little things. It's just everything. If you want to hit those high levels of achievement, like usually you're taking higher risks. Mm-hmm. I think about even like some of the stuff that we do. It's like people can be like, oh dude, it's so cool that you have, 11 flip projects that you're doing right now. I'm like, yeah, well, we got like $2 million in debt.
Yeah. It's a big risk.
It's a big risk. And
lots of problems.
All these things. Yeah. All the time. Problems.
Put in a brand new septic.
Yeah. Cost $12,000. There's thanks to the agent that sold us that. I'm just kidding.
Pretty cool agent.
But there just is always problems. And yes, I've done my best to mitigate the risk on those things, but like Iran could bomb us tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And people could just be like, we're not buying houses. Demand could plummet. And I could be sitting on 11 properties having to service that debt. And that could be, it just could be a lot. Like, hopefully that doesn't happen.
Right.
But like there is risks. And I chose to take on those risks because of the life that I want. Like, yes, if they all pan out, there'll be a lot of great income that comes from those deals. But it's not guaranteed.
Right.
And so again, it's like, yeah, I was willing to take on more problems and more stress to hopefully have a better outcome and a bigger future. I didn't have to do that stuff. I could have been like, yeah, I just want to flip 2 properties and make $25,000 a property, make $50,000 that year. Like, cool. No, I'm out here like, I want to make 7 figures flipping.
Right.
But because of that, it's going to be stuff. There's more risk and more problems that I have to deal with.
Right.
So again, it's like alignment. Am I willing to, if I want a big life, I got to be willing to take on big problems, and you get to decide. Again, I don't want to force that on anybody, but like understand that with these aspirations that you have, there is things that are going to, you're going to have to deal with more things. If you're saying you want to get to like $50,000 a month in passive income, it's like, well, you're going to have to sacrifice a lot and do a lot of things to be able to generate the income, to invest, to be able to get that cash flow. Mm-hmm. And the main point here is like just being realistic and understanding.
I think that's
what it
so
takes.
important. So important to be realistic.
So many people are like oblivious to the, you ask, you know, the average person now, they're like, yeah, I want to be a YouTuber and I want to make $1 million a year. It's like, dude, do you know how hard it actually is to create content? The time and effort that like top performers in those industries actually do, like Jake and Logan Paul and all those guys. One, do you understand the overhead they have? How many employees and staff members they have that they have to manage? Like the stress behind that.
One of their employees probably makes more a year than the person wishing that they were the millionaire YouTuber.
Yeah, and they got to know that they have to feed that overhead.
Right.
So you have to continue. It's like you're building a machine that you have to continue to pay for. Like, and then you can't really stop, you know? And a lot of the money that you're making, like the brand and stuff that they've built, like a lot of it's not liquid. And so you talk, you know, Mr. Beast, it's like, he talks about borrowing money for daily expense. Yeah, he's like worth $1 billion on paper, but he doesn't have that. And now his views are going down on YouTube because so many different creators and like he's losing a little bit of traction. It's like, dude, that's stressful. Mm-hmm. And like, yeah, he's going from a couple 100 million to like 50 million views, but that's a lot of ad revenue that doesn't come in.
Yeah, big decrease.
So big decreases. Like now they're trying to pivot and like get more creative with their content. So it's just, he's got big problems, really big problems. He probably stresses a lot. You know, he probably doesn't sleep that much. And so everybody looks at like, I want to make that kind of money. It's like, dude, do you really want all those stresses and those problems? And are you willing to make the sacrifices for those? And if not, just don't want it. And that's all it is like, understand what it takes to actually be at the levels that you're trying to get to.
Dream big, but yes, understand.
Be realistic.
What it's going to take.
I can't, it bothers me so much when agents come in here. I want to make $500,000 a year. I want to make $1 million a year. I'm like, hey, it's possible, but you're going to have to do like X, Y, like you're going to have to do a lot.
You'll have like, and that's where I've told people this too. They're like, yeah, I want to make $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year. I'm like, okay, you're probably going to have to work harder and do more than any agent that you personally know.
Yeah.
Like you look at these agents and you think, oh yeah, I want to be like that. That's sweet. Well, your dream now is to make more than what they do and work harder than they do. Are you willing to pay that price?
Yeah. I'm such a big believer. It's actually one of our next quotes. Everything you want to achieve has likely already been done by someone else. Learn from those that came before you. Mm-hmm. Like that is that's something that I really focus on. And I spend a lot of money doing this. I look for people that are living the life that I want or that have done the thing that I want to do. And I figure out how to get connected with them. And a lot of the times it's paying money to get connected with them. And I've paid a lot of money to get into proximity to people that I want to be like, or I want to learn from. And I think that's something that people miss out on too, is you can avoid, we talk about, you know, it might took this person 10 years. I might be able to cut that in half if I go directly to them and I learn all the mistakes that they learned along the journey. And a lot of times you have to pay for those things. And that's where people get turned off. It's like, oh, well, right now, like people will message me and be like, hey, I want to pick your brain about this. Like, hey, do you have time for lunch or coffee? I want to pick your brain. And right now, like, yeah, I take up a lot of those meetings and I'll go talk to you and I'm okay doing that. But the people that I want to talk to, I mean, their time is valuable and they have hundreds of people that want to pick their brain and go to lunch and talk about an idea and pitch them on a project or X, Y, and Z. And so like, they're not going to take those appointments. Like my mentor, like he doesn't go on, if somebody wants to pick his brain, he doesn't go to lunch. Like he is focused on growing his stuff and he's even focused on trying to go talk to people that are 10 years ahead of him. Mm-hmm. And so, but he's willing to take time and pour back into people that are serious. And usually like you show that seriousness by paying a dollar amount. And I don't want to get this wrong. Like you see the people on social media right now, they're like, I paid Patrick Bet-David or I paid Alex Hormozy $150,000 for an hour of their time. It's like a lot of that stuff is dramatic. Like they're actually, you know, they're not really paying that stuff. And it's just clickbait. But sometimes like people are that valuable. Sometimes, you know, there is somebody that, you know, if you're running a multi-million-dollar business and somebody's done it and gone through that process already, you might pay them $50,000 for an hour to talk through like a struggle within that business. Like, hey, we can't figure out this like processing system or this automation or this shipping, distribution thing. And if we can solve this, it's worth way more than 50,000. And you're probably somebody that can solve it because you've already done it.
Right.
So like, yeah, you're just paying for the knowledge. Otherwise you got to like trial and error, and that trial and error, time and money that costs you, it might cost you more than 50,000. So it's understanding that. Like I just signed up with my coach to do a little bit more in-depth coaching. It's like this whole program, like become financially free in 5 years. And like, yeah, I'm already like on the path to do that, but he's worth way more than I am. So why not learn his principles and have him look at my business? That's what I'm most excited about, is like, he's going to look at my personal balance sheet. He's going to look at my net worth. He's going to look at the businesses and the cash flow that we have and be like, here's changes you need to do. And one of them, like, it's actually funny, like mostly I want to scale our flipping wholesaling business, but his kind of like executive assistant was the one I was talking to. She runs like all of his businesses. And she's like, well, tell me about the retail team. I was like, yeah, well, the retail team is kind of like a passion project. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, like you're probably going to tell me like a lot of it doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm excited to see what they say, because I already know what he's going to say. Like your splits are, he coaches a lot of teams, and his big thing is like, you want to shoot for like a 30% profit. And he's like, how are you supposed to man it? Like his first thing's gonna be like, we have a really favorable SOI split. He's going to be like, well, how do you expect to cover expenses off of 25% of that? And so, but it's funny. Like it's funny because I already know this stuff, and sometimes it's just fun. It's talking to somebody about it. You know some of the problems that you already have in a business, and just being able to talk to somebody about it, like, exposes those problems, and like, oh yeah, you're right. And not that they're going to tell me, I need to make changes. She was actually like, at what point are you just okay running this? And I was very transparent with her. I'm like, yeah, if it can do X, Y, Z, and it just doesn't take a lot of my time, I don't really care. Like, yeah, my time is best spent elsewhere. And so if this can continue running, I like the agents. I like the team that we have. I like the culture. Like it really is somewhat of a passion project because it doesn't bring in a lot of money.
Right.
And so, but I can't tell you how good it is to have resources like that you can go to that are ahead of you. And so try to find, like, I encourage even my buddies that are in like W-2 jobs. I say, like, look at the person that's 10 years ahead of you in your field. Like, where is your progression? And like, get close to them and see if that's actually what you want. Because if it's not, don't climb that ladder.
Yeah. You got to pivot. A
lot of the times, like, people are they climb this ladder and they get to the top and they're like, well, this isn't the ladder that I really wanted to climb. Like I was against the wrong wall. There's that analogy. It's like you climb the ladder and you get to the top of the wall and you realize you're on the wrong wall. Don't do that. Like, think about your life and find a field or find an industry or find something you can do and that you enjoy doing, and look at the person that's like 10 years above you and be like, hey, is that where I want to be? And if so, awesome. Like, continue on that trajectory. If you're on a trajectory and you look up and you're like, well, the person, I would go to like this manager, then this regional person, and looking at that person, like, that's not the life that I want. Then think about, like, do you want to continue to climb that ladder? Or the business owner, like, if you're running a business, look at people that are ahead of you in that business. What are they doing? What kind of life do they live? What is their exit strategy, or have they exited before? And is that what you want to do? A lot of times you might look at it and be like, yeah, I mean, running this business, looking at where it's going to be in 10 years, like, that's not really exciting. It's not what I want to do. And don't be afraid to pivot.
I can't emphasize that enough. That is one thing that I feel like people get so stuck on, because we're taught kind of backwards in society, and it creates a world where you get stuck really easy. So you're taught, go to school, and then you're taught, okay, you graduate high school, and where do you go next? You go to college, even though you haven't decided what you want to do yet. You go to college and you get in student debt. You pick something. Well, now you're stuck and you're paying for that something. So 9 times out of 10, you might stay there. Or if you do pivot, you're now paying for that choice that you made in the first place. Now you're paying for the second choice. So now you're compounded in debt, and you make the choice to finally go to one, but then you realize, hey, this might not be it. And so what you taught is a very important principle that can apply to someone who might just be getting out of high school or someone who's 5 to 10 years into a career. Don't be afraid to pivot. And it is crucial that you look at someone who has the lifestyle that you want, see what they're doing, and then go and try to chase that. Ask for help.
Yeah.
Be willing to take a step of faith and go and, even to your point, maybe pay for some of those services and help. Because if you don't, your lifestyle is going to catch up with you and you're going to be stuck where you're at.
Yeah.
And you won't be able to leave.
I've even paid to, like, when people offer, like, hey, you can come, shadow me for the day or come into our office, see this. I've paid to get in rooms like that where I'm like, I just want to see,
right,
what does this look like at this scale?
Mm-hmm.
And then I can determine, like, is this something I want to do or not? And so I can't emphasize that enough. There's one thing I want to touch on there. This will be the last thing we touch on for this podcast. But the hard thing with that is, like, there's that sunken cost fallacy, where it's like, oh, I've just invested so much time and effort already. Like, I've already put 5 years into this. Like, I'm already this far in. I might as well see it through. I think about this with poker. You run into this when you're playing poker. It's like, oh, well, I've already bet this far into the pot. For me to walk away now, I've already given up so much. I might as well just see it through to the end. And I've done that a lot in poker. But it's not true. It's like, hey, if it isn't going to pan out, like, just cut your losses and move on. Don't just do something because you're like, I've already put time and effort into doing this. I might as well just see it through. Don't live your life like that. Don't be afraid to pivot. Now, on the flip side, because to play devil's advocate, also realize that, like, don't just jump ship because you think the grass is greener somewhere else.
100%.
I think that's where people get stuck, is like, they are like, yeah, you're right. Don't be afraid to quit or do what change paths if I'm on the wrong path. But understand why you're trying to transition and transitioning, and what are you trying to transition to, or what are you going to switch to? I just see too many people that just repeat that all the time. They're like, oh yeah, this wasn't what I thought it is, I'm going to switch. This wasn't what I thought it is, I'm going to switch. And it's because they're going through that, like, you have your uninformed optimism when you start something new. Then it's informed pessimism. You're like, oh, this is a lot harder than I thought. Everything is going to be like that. Everything is going to be harder than you thought and take longer than you thought. If you just understand that, like,
you'll be fine.
Your mindset will shift.
And don't shift when you're in that informed pessimism stage.
Correct.
That's that I think is the point you're getting at.
Yes.
Is you're going to experience that. Make the shift based off of the end result. And if you want that end result, you've got to be willing. We've said it numerous times in this. You've got to pay the price, and paying that price is the informed pessimism stage.
Yes. Because eventually you're going to figure it out and you're going to be like, okay, now, and then it's informed pessimism. And then it's like, I can't remember the other stages, but basically, like, now that it's hard and you're okay with that and you're going to figure it out.
Right.
And that's where you start to see a lot of the growth. It's when you just realize that it is going to be harder and it is going to take longer and it's not as sexy as I thought it was going to be. And the profit margins aren't as great as I thought they're going to be, but I'm going to stick this out because I see this end result. So, like, don't just jump from thing to thing when it gets hard. That's my big thing. But also don't be afraid to pivot when you do feel that things have changed or that you're better off doing something else. And that's, like, a really fine line to differentiate. Like, because I dealt with this. Like, when I talked about, to my coach, I talked about, like, wanting to start flipping and wholesaling and stuff. And I'm like, well, but then I've just put so much time and effort into building this team over the last few years. Like, I need to focus on the team. But like, I just wasn't as passionate about building the team as I was when I started out. And his big thing was like, and I'm like, well, but maybe I just need to suffer it out. Like, I know now what I need to do. Like, maybe I just need to suffer it out. And his big thing was like, you're not switching. Like, you're not changing. You're just kind of, you've progressed. Like, that was a step. Like, you were a real estate agent and then you built a team. And now it's like, what's this next progression? Like, you're going into a progression of, like, an investor now. And I was like, hey, like, you just progress. And sometimes you look at, like, it is progression. when I first got licensed, I started a brokerage. I realized really quick that wasn't what I want to do, but it was kind of like just a progression, next step. And then I like started a team. And, usually it's backwards. You start a team and then do a brokerage, but I jumped right into a brokerage, realized that's not what I wanted to do. And I literally did exactly what I'm saying. I would go to the brokerage, like our annual retreats, whatever. We'd go to like the headquarters in Scottsdale for all the brokerage owners around the country. And I'm 22 at the time. Everybody that's in those rooms, 40 plus, the youngest person in there. And I'm looking at everybody, and they've been running a brokerage for like 10 years, 15 years. And I'm looking at the life, and they're still struggling, trying to get their agent count up and all this stuff. And their profit margins are really small. And I'm like, dude, is this where I want to be? Like, I want to be in this room 10 years from now, talking about these problems and looking at a lot of the guys, like they were making okay money, but not the kind of money that I wanted to make. And so I was like, this isn't what I should be doing.
So you pivoted.
So I pivoted. I was like, I saw what the future held, and I'm like, this isn't what I want. Mm-hmm. And so I pivoted, but it was that. It just took me I thought I had uninformed optimism when we started, and obviously it was a lot harder and it was going to take a lot longer. But the truth was I wasn't just going to give up because of that. That I saw what the future had, and I didn't see anybody that was living the life that I wanted to live if I kept it going in this trajectory.
So your two choices were hope and pray that you're the exception to that rule, or you turn out like them, or what you decided, which was leave.
100%. And those are it's like, are you going to defy all odds and be different? Great.
If you want to be that guy, be that guy.
Yeah.
Full send. More power to you.
But, and I think on the flip side, it's like when you're in an environment too, where you're underachieving, basically. Let's say you're in an industry. It's like real estate. It's like you come in and I want to make $100,000 a year. And you realize there's people in this industry that make a few million a year. Mm-hmm. And then you realize what's possible. You're like, oh man, I could really get to this level. And there's people doing that. Well, it's cool, get close to those people and figure out how they're doing it and see if you want to do that.
Right.
And so I also think your group or the possibilities can either impact you in a negative way. This is what's possible. There's a limit to this in this industry. Or you get into a field too, and you're surrounded by people that show you this is way bigger than you thought it could ever be. And so just look at whatever industry you're in, whatever you're doing in life, and realize look 10 years ahead, find somebody that's 10 years ahead of you in that field and see if that's the life that you want to live. And if so, gang ho, go for it. And if not, don't be afraid to pivot.
We've talked a lot about a couple good things here. The end of the day, the point that we're trying to get at is you're not the exception to the rule. Chase your dreams, be a big dreamer, but just know it comes at a cost. And if you're willing to pay that price and your spouse is willing to pay that price with you, the world's your oyster, full send. But be realistic with your goals and you will find peace.
Get aligned.
Yep.
Get alignment. You and your spouse.
Yep.
Because that's where things get fun, is when you're on the same page about where you're going. And so, and when you're not, that's where there's a lot of friction. So can't say that enough. And your spouse is it is your biggest asset, or I don't know what the inverse of an asset is, but liability.
Could be a liability. Yeah.
So that was stupid. Your wife is either an asset or a liability. Not your wife. It could be your husband. Your husband's either an asset or a liability. So either way, we just want people to be happy at the end of the day. That's what our podcast is about. It's the pursuit of wealth. Wealth. We just want you to find happiness in whatever you're doing. And we're not going to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. There's no right answer. Nobody can tell you what you should or shouldn't do, because nobody knows. It's your life. It's your decision. You get to create it. So go out there and decide what the life is that you want and put a plan in place to get there and be the architect of your life. So, appreciate you taking the time, Jace.
Yeah, today was fun.
Today. I know we didn't have a real good structure today. We're actually, to be truthful, because we are, we tell the truth on this podcast. To be fully transparent, our videographer goes out of town this week.
The audacity that he gets a vacation.
I know. It's actually
the fact that ridiculous. He thinks he deserves that is beyond me.
It's quite. The only reason we're even allowing this is because he's going to have the chance to meet my my boyfriend, Nick Bear.
Whoa.
Yeah, I dropped the B word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish. Well, no, I am. I'm going into that. Yes, easy, Kyle. Easy. Don't get all flared up here, bud. No, he's going to go meet. He's one of his friends is running in the Nick Bear freaking race that's at Bear Ranch. And I'm a big fanboy of Nick Bear. Watch all his YouTube videos, eat the supplements, have the hats and the clothes. I'm a big fanboy. Anyway, so he's going to that. And then I'm gone for like literally 2 weeks, got 2 real estate conferences back to back. So I'm gone for a week, I come back for like 3 days, and then I'm gone to Hawaii to run a marathon and hang out with friends. So we have like 3 weeks where we're going to be gone. And so we're like, do we need to film a podcast? Didn't have a whole lot prepped, to be truthfully honest, but I had some nice quotes on my phone. So I was like, we're going to talk about some quotes
It's good
today.
to talk about it. Good lessons to learn. So
yeah,
it was fun.
So hopefully this doesn't turn you off if it wasn't the best podcast. Please stay tuned because we will have better episodes coming. So we love you all. And yes, we'll catch you guys next week.
Welcome to the chase where the champions dwell. To the grind, to the hustle, the pursuit of wealth. Every story, every journey, every climb from the shelf. Here's to the drive, to the fight, to pursue the wealth.